I'd like to introduce Laura Anderson, who is my teacher of the visually impaired throughout two of my high school years, my junior and senior year, um, who is here today to talk about what it is like being a teacher of the visually impaired and working with students who are blind and low vision. And would you care to tell us a little about yourself?
Okay, well, my name is Laura Anderson and previously worked with Cole Sweeney when he was in Raleigh County Schools. Worked in Raleigh County Schools from 2015 until last school year, where I transferred jobs, and I'm now working for the School for the Blind as an outreach specialist. And I cover 17 counties in the state. They're not all this. I live in Mercer County. They're not all southern counties. Sometimes I go as far as Randolph County, Upshur County. So I do a lot of traveling. I'm working with families mainly who have children who are either low vision or blind. Um, and I really enjoy this field of work. I don't know if I ever shared with you, Cole, but I did have a niece who had RP, which is a little different than what you have, but she has tunnel vision and she is also deaf. So that's kind of what got my interest up in this field. So I appreciate the introduction, Cole.
Could you describe what the role of a teacher of the visually impaired is?
Well, a teacher of the visually impaired does a lot of behind the scenes work when it comes to a student's education. They work closely with the entire education team and the students with their families. A lot of it is that you have to begin to first of all understand their eye condition to see, okay, how are they going to access their educational material? Is it going to be by print? Does it need to be by braille? What specialized instruction do they need? If it's just going to be large print, do we need to teach them how to use specialized magnification devices? If it's braille, it could entail a lot of different learning strategies to teach the students how to use braille, and even working with the families on how to understand what the braille code is. um, you would work with many people in the team, a lot of the general ed teachers, like for them to understand what that student can and cannot see in the classroom and how we can make it accessible to them. And working in a county school system, you do travel a lot between the schools. Generally, you don't have probably more than one student at a school. Sometimes you do, but most of the time, these students are isolated. They may be the only student in the school that has low vision or is blind.
How many students do you typically aid?
There were, when I was doing it, I had anywhere between 17 and 23. Sometimes you would get students in the middle of the school year that would move into the counties. Sometimes you would lose students to another state, or parents may think that it's best to send them to the School for the Blind where they get specialized instruction. So you would lose students to that. But generally, anywhere between 17 and 20 in Raleigh County. Um, some counties have less, but Raleigh County is a big county.
What types of accommodations can you help provide for your students?
Well, you do have to look at each student individually. Do they need large print? Do they need specialized technology to help them access their educational materials? Do they need instruction in Braille? It's all based off of the individual. Then you have to look at, okay, is there a glare issue? Is there a problem with the light that the student needs to be sitting in a certain position in order to see the teacher, to see the instruction on the board? Um, could be like generally when they go to high school, middle school, and high school, you find that lots of teachers just assign a lot of work. And unfortunately, it takes students with blindness and low vision a lot longer to complete that work. So sometimes you could say, okay, we want to focus just on the key concepts. You kind of leave it up to the teacher. Okay, so what is it that you want the student to learn? And let's make that the assignment, and not so much all the busy work that they sometimes give students.
Mm. What is your fondest or favorite memory of me?
Of you, I have several, but I'll just share one. I really think, Holden, it would be when you decided your senior year that you were going to go to ACT and take the early childhood classes.
Mhm.
Like, it scared me in the beginning because you never left your high school to venture out. So we're seeing new teachers that don't know your eye condition. You're going to meet new students. And I think you were a little nervous in the beginning too, but
Yeah.
you definitely made an impression on that school. I even had students from other schools when I would go to their high school, they would say, because they knew I was the teacher of the visually impaired, they would say, I know Colton Sweeney. He goes to ACT. So um, just to know that you went in there, you were able to advocate for yourself. And I think that you really left an impression on on the teachers and the students there as well.
What is a funny memory you have of working with me?
Well, that is a question you told me you was not going to ask, but um, anyway, I guess it would be the time I came to visit you. It was during homecoming week,
Mhm.
and there was a theme for every day. So you really tricked me because here I am looking for Colton Sweeney, and you were dressed up like some kind of 70s disco star. You had all the different color hair and the bright clothing. Like, I did not even know it was you. So I was a visually impaired person that day because I had no clue. And it was really good to see you then because that's when you started stepping outside of your comfort zone and doing different things at school. And
Yeah, that I typically wouldn't have ever
right,
doing.
right.
Well, thank you so much for uh, being generous with your time.
You are very welcome. And I want to say that I'm very proud of the young man that you have become. And I watch you, like, always follow you on social media, and I see how well you're doing in college. And I know that you make your teachers proud.
Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.